Hello and welcome to this overview video for the Milestone 3 project for MAT-243. If you have watched the previous videos, this video will follow a similar format, reviewing scenario A. Again, scenarios B and C are very similar and should be followed along with the guide in the same way that you would for this video. So let's get started. So once your projects load, as always, you'll be presented and you'll notice that I'm where I left off, which is the end of project 2. So I'm going to click next to get to part 3. And I'm actually going to close milestone 2 because we don't need that anymore. As always, you have the script on the left here and the guide on the right. We're going to follow the directions in the guide, make modifications to the script, and then run those check-its in Codio to make sure that we've done all the steps appropriately. As a note, if you ever need to start over and you want to start from this clean version, you can go up to the gear and click restore current files, and that will return to this original version. So recall that you're a data analyst working at the National Weather Service. You should be familiar with the scenario and all of these definitions. So the first step that we're asked to do is we're going to import our data set as we've done previously. We're going to replace data set with Manchester weather, and that variable is going to take in data read from the Manchester weather.csv file. Notice the single quotes, those are important. So let's check it and make sure that that works. Good, check 1 is passed, so we're going to move on to step 2, which is analysis of variation. And this is for the difference of 5 population means for EMXT. So we're going to perform an analysis of variation to test if the average extreme maximum temperature EMXT for May, June, July, August, and September are different. Use 5% level of significance. So we are going to follow these steps in order to do that, starting by deleting or uncommenting these lines. The next step is we're going to replace dataset name with Manchester weather, that variable. Make sure you get all of those question marks in there. And I'm going to use find replace. To make sure that I get all instances. So I'm going to start find replace between lines 16 to 23. Looks like it's just those instances. Scroll up here, and then the next thing that it asks us to do is replace variable name in single quotes. So I'm going to take everything but the single quotes and replace that with EMXT in single quotes. All right, so we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. And notice that those have all been replaced with EMXT in single quotes. And then we need to replace months 1 through 5 with the appropriate value. And that's starting in May. So May is month 5. Month 2 would be 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we should have completed all of the steps for this part. All right, so we can move on to step 3. Analysis of variation for the difference of 3 population means. So we're going to test if the extreme maximum precipitation for July, August, September are different using 5% level of significance, starting by uncommenting lines 28 through 33, replacing data set name with Manchester weather. I'm going to actually start with variable name because it's already here in my search bar here with EMXP. So I'm going to find and replace those instances, and that should be the last one. Scroll back up, and then I'm going to replace the dataset name with Manchester weather. So I've replaced all those instances. And now the last step is going to be to replace month 1, 2, and 3 with the appropriate value. So July, August, September. So July is month 7, August is month 8, and September is month 9. We should have completed all the steps there, and so we can check it. And it's passed, so we can move on to step 4, which is to plot the box plots for the scenarios we just did above. So we need to we need to comment out these lines. Again, I will use, as I have been in previous videos, the multi-line comment, which is just 3 single quotes. And you have to delete the 3 that the IDE puts in there for you. All right, so now we need to uncomment lines 38 through 55. I'm actually going to find replace here with the pound symbol and space. Replace it with nothing. Replace all those lines. The next thing I'm going to do is replace dataset name with Manchester weather. Once all instances of that are replaced, I'm going to go ahead and do variable name with EMXT, replacing all 5 instances. Again, keeping the integrity of those single quotes. All right, we still have single quotes around EMXT here, and then we need to replace the months. Again, that's starting in May, which is month 5, 6, 7, and then 8 and 9 for August and September. And that should be all the steps for creating that box plot. Notice here that this figure is going to be saved as step 4_5_means.png. So we'll have that file in our file tree when we've actually run this in the terminal. All right, step 5, we're going to do the box plots for the difference of 3 population means for EMXP. All right, so again, we're going to uncomment these lines. I'll just delete this time. You can do it whichever way you feel most comfortable with. And then I'm going to replace variable name with EMXP in this case. And notice the single quote still there. I'm going to replace dataset name with Manchester weather. And then I have to replace the appropriate months. In this case, July, August, and September. So 7, 8, and 9. We'll run the check-in, make sure that works. It does, so we'll move on. The last step, which is just getting our results. So we have to uncomment these lines. 38 through 55 and 60 through 74 should already be uncommented. We'll remove these multi-line comments from 28 to 33 and from 16 to 23. That should take care of all that. Next thing we're going to do is open a terminal window to execute commands. So we're going to go to Tools, Terminal, and we're going to type Python milestone3.py, and we're going to get these results. And probably the easiest thing to do is to just copy this information right here. To right-click copy. Again, if you watched the last video, you know Control-C will kill the process, so that you really need to use right-click and copy. So now in order to get those box plots, what we need to do is we need to go to View, File Tree, and now it told us that they were saved as this, and now I have those images, and I can right-click and download, or I can, depending on how you're going to use it, you can copy or save the image right from here. And that should be all that you need to do in Codio. Remember that there are additional steps that you need to complete within the LMS. just create your summary report. So be sure that you follow all the steps outlined in the rubric, and let your instructor know if you have questions. On one final note, while you can now mark this as completed, which I'll show right here, that'll let your instructor know that you're done, but at the same time it also gives you only read only access, so that you can't make any further changes or run any of the programs. So if you're comfortable with that, you can go ahead and type yes here. If not, it's not a big deal. Follow the directions given by your instructor and the assignment rubrics for this class. Hope this video is helpful for you. Best of luck, and please feel free to reach out to your instructor with questions.